Nothing has happened.
They just walk to their positions.
So, Friday night football, and away we go. At the Oval Office. Love it. Knocked down by Hudson. Taken by Stanton. Fumble there by Watson. Taken away by Griffin. Searching kick inside the forward 50. Fletcher on Hall. That'll be interesting. Floating over the pair. Dempsey takes the mark though. Dempsey swings it out wide. Lovett Murray immediately into the action. Having his best season ever. Goes short. Hocking. Forward of half back. Goes back deep inside the 50. Stanton intent on drawing Hall and pops it over the top to Fletcher. Winderlich is short. Stanton wants it back. Half volley. No, he marked it. Comes out wide. Pears now under a degree of pressure. Had to work to take that mark. He's at left half back.
Thank you.
So the Bombers with the footy, but in the back half, Fletcher starting on Hall.
There's a strange stat last week. Brian Lake, Bulldogs fullback, had 35 kicks. This is how you get them.
Exactly right.
There's been about 6 kicks and the ball's gone nowhere.
And finally to centre wing, Ryder pushed off by Hudson. Lonergan down low to Monfries. Difficult handball for McVeigh. Ran him into a traffic stop. And then Hargraves quick kick to a one-on-one. Hall and Fletcher. Back to Picken. And then Picken to Cooney. Now Cooney's within range. One step. He's not going to bring it back though. And it's across the face of goal for the first score tonight.
As a football purist, it's great to see Dustin Fletcher playing on Barry Hall. We haven't seen Fletch necessarily play those key defensive post roles, so the Bulldogs might look to isolate him in a one-on-one contest.
Fletcher short to the pocket. McVeigh, two veterans combining to bring it out.
That was an early game kick by Cooney too, wasn't it? One-step kick rather than really carrying it and getting balance.
He was good last week, wasn't he? 36 possessions.
Yeah, fantastic.
Paddy Ryder, 2 goals last week. Another good game. Short. McVeigh just moving up the ground, just mooching 20 metres. Goes in short. Lonergan. Lonergan. Again, the short one is on. Zaharakis.
So far, the Bombers have been extremely patient using the ball. All it takes is one errant kick and a quick turnover. So if they're choosing this possession style of play, they really have to make sure they nail every possession.
To Watson. It's in better hands there. Hocking in 2 minds. Elects to kick. Not bad policy. It's amazing what can happen just by getting lucky. Lonergan moments ago had the ball at right half back. He's marked within scoring range.
Yeah, we often say the long kicks that drop about 40 metres out are not a good position, but when there's a broken play like that, anything can happen.
Meantime, Lonergan didn't fancy his chances and they turn it over. Harbrow dashes out of defence, comes to Hall, lays it off to Higgins, fumble, putting the body in Lonergan as he always does, and emerges with a football. Good extraction. And again, if you don't mind. Watson, Hocking, he's been busy. Hurley, right half forward Hurley, miscues with a kick, goes a long way in the air. Gumbleton did well to get it on the ground. Cross, too clever by half. That's holding it surely. Davey got him, slipped up behind him. No free kick.
High tackle against Ryan.
Well,
too high.
there you go.
Just resulted in an amazing tackle by Davey. Textbook perfect, pinned the arm, should have been given the free kick, but just it prevails.
So Watson directly in front. Well,
can't do much better than that.
No, perhaps the umpire thought Monfries just took it off his hand. It wasn't the case. The ball found some daylight on the way to Monfries. Jobe Watson having a stellar season as well. Not beyond him this one. Right on the edge of his range. He's on the clock. Gumbleton in the square. He should bypass that option. Kick is on its way. Just clears the man down there. Hudson, the opening goal. The skipper.
Yes, I think you often feel that situation. If the umpire feels like he may have missed a free kick, it's amazing how you're thinking, oh, maybe I should have paid that. And so there was a very, well, I guess it was certainly the arm over the shoulder.
It was important for the Bombers to get on the scoreboard with that play because they did fiddle around with the ball. In fact, that was their first mark forward of centre with 15 previously in the back half. So important to register a score and get on the board early. To see the arm over the shoulder there, not much doubt about the second free kick, and the first one was probably there. So a great start for the Bombers, really important that they get the score on the board early if they're going to play this possession style of football.
So out of the centre, Davey, the other rider.
Come over the top. Move up, please. Play on.
So Myers quickly off and with a bounce, and he's got Hocking outside of him. Now Hocking's probably within range here. She's timed it beautifully. That's sweet. Whew. 2 goals inside the minute.
You'd like to see him take the bit between the teeth, and as soon as he got the free kick in the middle there, Howard, it was good that he played on. And if you're in the middle of the ground and you move the ball quickly, the opposition defence is always trying to get back into position, but they're a little bit unbalanced. And a good ability to hold on to the footy. That was Myers, wasn't it?
Yep.
Hold on to the footy, pick the right target to give it to Hocking. Good running goal.
A great
Good
setup.
start.
A great setup. Really important for the Bombers to put some speed into the game. Western Bulldogs are very strong in the contested situation. So to get the ball out in space, almost like what the Bulldogs do, fantastic result.
Good-looking player, David Myers. Top 10 draft pick in 07. Now in his 3rd season, playing his first game against the Western Bulldogs. That's him, number 23 with the football. Goes after it, improvising, got boot to ball, down towards half forward. Higgins threw back the head, no free kick. And the umpire will ball it up. The umpires tonight, Rosebery, Jeffrey and McInerney.
Already seeing a great intent from the Bombers.
Hold on. Just wipe it. Hang on. Let me have a look. Yeah, you're going to have to go off. It's bleeding. Blood rule.
Sean Higgins off under the blood rule.
Just saying the intent looks really positive. We saw Davies tackling the forward 50, textbook perfect, and Jetta, who's came off a great game last week, 21 touches and 5 tackles, more importantly from Matthew Knights' point of view, has got on the tackle stat sheet already.
Just wonder where we are with the blood rule after watching the State of Origin match the other night.
Yeah.
It seems to ebb and flow like the blood itself.
Eyes on it.
So Ryder and Minson Ryder clearly winning it to Hocking. Hill, who's just come off interchange, as you saw. Backtracking McVeigh. That was clever. To Monfries. That's high.
Yeah, good play. That's drawing the tackle by actually just bending the knees a little bit as you go in and drawing the high tackle. So that was well played. Nothing wrong with that. Test the tackling technique, just going in low.
6 goals, 5 from set shots, Monfries. So he should do a bit better than that. He missed a very important kick in their one loss in the last month against Port Adelaide late in the 3rd quarter. We've said it before, he's a barometer, isn't he, of this team?
Yep.
He's a very good player. Goal kicker. And that's not going to come back, so should nail those from there. So 6-6 from set shots this year for Monfries.
Just the moment Essendon Ryder's the one who started the ruckers, looked quite dominant.
Yep.
Particularly at the centre bounce. He looks like he's just jumping too high for Hudson, and Minson's in there now.
So Gilby to bring it in. Good start, bright start. A little bit of the rope-a-dope early from the Bombers, but now finding their range. There's Light just outside the defensive 50. Drives it high towards the wing. Plenty of Bombers out there, but the mark is taken by Griffin. Plays on immediately. Gets it back from Boyd. Runs beyond the wing. Searching kick inside the forward 50. Gian Siracusa from behind. McVeigh leads back. Ackermanis put him to the ground. Tracks the ball towards the boundary. Arriving quickly is Dempsey. Dempsey lunges towards the line and a boundary throw in.
A couple of great efforts there from Courtney Dempsey. First to go back with the flight. Handled it, we see it here on the vision here, handled it very well. And then to follow up was a great effort. They're going to need to be really strong in their defensive 50, the Bombers, to maintain control.
Well done by Cooney. Smothered the Jetta hand pass. That ball slow to release. Eventually comes out, crawling after it crossed. Did well. Gian Siracusa to Picken. Picken across the body, down towards full forward. Almost down there to Grant. Is that in the back? I think so. Free kick to the Bombers.
Free kick in the back. Miss, later, please.
So consecutive brave efforts by Dempsey in the back half there. So Jetta had a terrific night in the Dreamtime match to Howlett, who also was very good, particularly in the tackling department. Not a good handball, but McVeigh's been in pretty good nick. Half volley by Hurley, good. Davey, only Davey could get out of that. And then gives Hurley half a chance, fetches the footy back. Still 2-1 in there. Davey fossicking around. Ball up.
Good start by the Bombers. They've got the energy, haven't they? You always watch the first 5 minutes of the game, and certainly very hard, and certainly Essendon are the team with the energy early.
So there is Ryder, who Lee spoke about a moment ago. Winderlick cut off by Higgins. Myers, clever to Ryder, to Winderlick, searches to Hill.
Hill just lays it off to Davey. Davey 45 metres out to the pocket. Hocking, it may have touched the fingertips on the way through of Boyd. Spills across to Meyer, and Meyer snaps a goal. He got one last week with his left. He's got another one.
Well, there'd be some danger signals going off in the Bulldogs coaching box. They just look like they haven't started. They don't look like they're awake, do they, the Bulldogs? Certainly, all teams are always trying their hardest, but at the moment, Essendon are the team that have got all the life and energy in them.
It's a funny effort in there because nobody did anything for Essendon.
Yeah.
Hocking dropped the mark, Hurley didn't shepherd, and Myers suddenly had to kick the goal. They had all the numbers, didn't they?
3-1.
The great sign for the Bombers so far, from when you're watching it at home on the TV, you see the numbers there, you see the red and black. There was a 3-on-1 there, so it's a sure sign that the team's up and about. It sounds simple, just outnumber the opposition. That's what the Bombers are doing at the moment.
So good start, obviously, for Essendon. Myers doing well. Boyd out of the centre. In the back.
Aim up, please. Yeah, what happened? The Bulldogs have popped Minson into the centre bounce, even though Hudson's on the ball. I think they were concerned with Ryder jumping over the top.
Addison's low ball, not so good. Almost cut off by Pears. Winderlick to Monfries. Terrific handball to Stanton. Well,
That's a bad kick.
you said it, Lee. Lake, plenty of time. Gee, it was a blown chance there. Stanton actually out of form in the last couple of weeks. Good kick to Picken. So Picken back inside. Gilby, who's #1 in effective kicks in the competition, add that one to the list.
That's why. John Siracusa. Down towards half forward. Cross will fly from behind. Hands to it. Couldn't hang on. Pears stayed on his feet. Could have been tripped. Crawls after it. Slips a hand pass back along the 50. Taken now by Stack. Lays it off. Higgins with his wrong foot, his right foot. Worked that out. Around the corner. Hall had it bounce off his chest. Still under pressure. Fletcher did well. Atkinson comes away. Goes to the opposite pocket. Winderlick takes off. Needs movement up ahead. Needs Hurley to come. Well, Hurley intent on bumping Addison off picture. Meantime, Monfries has got it. They're still bumping downfield. Winderlick looks. Still nothing much there. Comes back towards the middle. Lonergan hands to it. Cooney knocks it down. Taken by Hargrave. Minson. The moment has passed there for the Bombers. Addison went to ground. Hargrave. Minson gives a hand pass away. In trouble. Downwind Stack. Wanted to say this for a long time. The mill is on Stack. Around the outer side. Taken by Addison. Short one down towards half forward. Off hands. Chance there for Hill. Missing the ball, Higgins. Coming through is Jenner. Backing out of trouble, McVeigh. Jenner's got it now. Winderlick is run down. Crashing the pack was Hocking. Left it behind. Winderlick got a boot to it in the wrong direction. Minson gives it to Gilby. Gilby kicks the goal. How about that?
Yes, they needed that little bit of good fortune, or the pressure at least that created the Essendon turnover on the front of the centre square. That was he's going to have that a lot tonight. He's got a long reach, hasn't he, Fletcher, to get that fist in. That was a good knock forward, but Essendon had possession across half-back. Turned it over.
That short kick, I reckon, is the most dangerous kick in footy, that little one that Essendon did going forward.
We mentioned at the start, if you make a skill error in the back half on a short kick, you'll get punished every time.
We're having a close look at Ackermanis tonight. He hasn't touched the ball. His job's going to be difficult, though. Mark McVeigh, who is a very good defensive stopper, has gone to him and he's playing him close all the way.
Hey, Lee, I reckon that'll wake them up, the Bulldogs. That was a good goal.
Yeah, they needed to get that one going.
And they had a lot of blokes involved in it. Gilby's first goal for the season, by the way. 24 last year. Griffin, he's playing, obviously, a more defensive role. Cooney, 12 disposals in that opening term last week against North Melbourne. Harbrow, he is so hard to put down, isn't he? And then floats one forward, banging it towards half forward. Hill and Hocking back in play. Griffin tries to take the tackler on. It was high, so Griffin away, and then a raking kick to Minson, who's got it. Good mark, good kick.
Just got the set, didn't he? It was a driven kick, and Pears was in a good position, but Manson's height was just able to force him under the ball with the jump.
And he's been missing them this year, Will. He was pretty accurate last year. He hardly missed, but he's 2 goals, 6 overall, and he's 2-4 from set shots. He's done well since they banished him earlier this year. He's come back. Roughhead came in for a few weeks, but Minson's got his way back in, and that one, well, just drifting like a long putt that just lips out.
Augusta. Fletcher. Howard. Man on in the middle is Jetta. Goes there. Jetta takes the mark. Frismal is moving down this side of the ground. He'll be the first to arrive if it comes off hands. Well, he chose not to go quickly enough. Cross, tackled by Frismal, holding the man. That was interesting.
Push out, Elwood.
Needed a sprint.
Keep going.
Cross has got it. To Hudson. Inside the centre square. Lake is by himself, but not required, at least not now. Harbrow goes towards half forward. In front, Watson. Grant again, I thought could have come a little harder. The kick towards half forward. The Dogs just not on song at the moment. Morris, cross. Opportunity for Boyd. Morris. Lake waits. Runs away from the back pocket. Looks up our commentary side. Missed there by Picken. Found it on the ground. Hargrave having a very good season. Goes to Griffin. Stripped of the football by Howlett. Now, is that deliberate? Apparently not. We'll have a boundary throw in, and Griffin is hurt.
Just watch the replay here. Proppy straight away. Let's hope that's nothing too serious.
With Cooney, the guy that Rodney spoke about before the match, of run and carry into the forward line. Lonigan, well done, Hargrave, and then Pickens handball. Watson did well to get a hand on it in front of Cross, and then McVeigh run down. On the ball. And John Siracusa just getting McVeigh. One step too many. But he started well, Mark McVeigh, tonight. Wide to Hargrave. Hargrave's got Hill. It's a good kick. It had to be perfect, and it was.
Hold there, tight, hold!
Streaky player, Hill, isn't he? But he's a very good contested mark and a good goal kicker. Cooney to Hudson. So combative, Hudson, to another combative player.
Boyd spots Hall, but getting in the road, Lonigan. Well done. Hall was about 20 metres on. Lonigan got across, took the mark. Just chips it out wide. Zaharakis. Right half back, kicks beyond the wing. What a beautiful kick too. The kicking has been good tonight so far. Wenderlich inside the forward 50. Hill outstanding last week. Tries to go back over the shoulder. Gathered by Lake. Hargrave up to 6 possessions now. Lake. Hudson. Lake once more. Challenging his own record. Drives it towards the wing. Well, Stack misjudged it completely. Stanton gets back. He's on the wing looking down towards half forward. Not a particularly good kick. On the angle, though, Ryder did well. Kept it alive. Davey run down by Cooney. Out wide, gathered by Hill. 52 metres out from goal. Long ball, Monfries. Surrounded. Staying on his feet, Hargrave. They've needed him in this quarter, and that's a beautiful clearing kick. And it's going to be advantage to be taken by Grant.
Really displays the footy, and he went on with the contact.
So, poor effort there by the Bombers. They just give up that pressure they had. And John Siracusa, that's a beautiful kick. Well done by Hurley, just to get a fingertip to it. Hall fetching again. Hurley's pick-up was fantastic. And then to Prismal, who's got Lovett Murray. Does he get it far enough? Well done, Lovett Murray. Kept his eye on it, so did Picken. Back to Lovett Murray. Pressure on Zaharakis. Terrific tackle coming in from Cooney. And then Gilby. Well, lace out to Hall from Gilby.
What the Bulldogs have been able to do is, at the start of the game, the Bombers were dominating the contested possession. The last 4 or 5 minutes, they've really converted that round to the fact that they lead that count 27-25. At one stage, they were down 16-11. So at the contest, the bigger bodies of the Doggies are starting to stand up after a bit of a battling start.
He was the other bloke you mentioned to you too, Rocket. Ed Gilby with the footy going forward, Lee.
Yep.
So Barry Hall kicks his first for the night, and the Dogs close the margin to 5 points.
I don't know whether you could blame Michael Hurley for that it was the turnover that created the Hall goal. But Dustin Fletcher was off the field for a few minutes very early in the game. You wouldn't have thought with him playing fullback on Hall that it would have been, you know, an automatic interchange rest rotation. But anyway, the turnover was really the key. It was the tackle and the turnover just set Hall up.
He didn't play much of the last quarter, Fletcher, last week. I think he was a bit wounded late last week, but we'll follow that, eh?
I was just watching Hurley after that kick, Lee, and he was stargazing at his kick. The ball went up to the ground about 20 metres. Hall was 20 metres off him. It was really just a lack of concentration. He realised the moment the ball left the Bulldogs player's boot that he should have been on Hall.
Minson goes up, powers it down towards half forward. Grant onto the loose ball, kicks inside the forward 50. In front, Hall once more, hands to it, couldn't hang on. Atkinson in a tight situation did very well. Fletcher, Dempsey, Hurley. In the back pocket, Stanton goes wide. Hill just slips away from Minson. Moments before they were side by side. Hill into the gap. That's an intelligent kick. Winderlick goes back and takes it. Barry Hall now 62 goals in his 17th match against the Western Bulldogs. The most against any club by Barry. He's played more matches against other clubs, but he likes feeding on the Dogs. Opportunity for Ryder. Watson stolen away by Harbrow, bounces through, kick to midfield, getting back Jetta, looks down towards half forward, some indecision under pressure. Lake is favoured by the kick, full-chested. He hammered the ball at Zaharakis and ricocheted across towards Harbrow, and umpire Rosebery will ball it up.
Lake is actually a real stumbling block when Essendon are going forward. Just his ability to know whether to play body or to actually get in the most dangerous space. Quite often he's just in the space where Essendon want to kick the footy.
Cross did well. Koenig's little kick. Stanton and Hahn. Stanton clever enough. It's not unlike Collingwood last week going forward. Essendon, they made bad decisions going to the 50, and Scarlett just mopped up last week, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, I guess Lake and Scarlett play the game so well, and it's almost you've got it in your head when you're looking forward to actively go out of the way of those particular players, and Brian Lake's playing it to a treat tonight.
I reckon the last 4 or 5 times the Bombers have gone inside the 50, they've just made poor choices with their kicking or a handball. Back to Boyd, on the back foot a bit. Oh, gone.
Good place to lay holding the ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that was a clear one. He broke one tackle, Griffin, but the second one, Jetta got him.
So Zaharakis, the first man in.
On the mark.
Oh, lucky to get away with the high tackle first up, though, I would think.
He doesn't go down easy, though, does he?
No, he held his feet.
He's a tough dog.
Yeah.
So Jetta, this will stretch him a bit. Not going to be a score, right to the goals, and punched over. So a minor score. Bombers lead it by a straight goal.
What isn't happening for the Bulldogs, though, they're just not getting that run through the middle that you know that happens when they're playing at their best.
Good kick from Harbrow to Grant.
Just on that, they haven't even really looked like challenging the middle with a kick to break it up.
Both their goals really have been from Essendon turnovers at halfback, or tackling turnovers.
Morris goes a long way back. Still over 3 minutes to go in the term. This is Higgins. Good crowd now, too, for Friday night football. Back to Lake. How's he going, Lake? Up to 7. That makes it 8. Williams drives it towards the outer side as they work wide. Hahn's got it. Running hard is Cross. I think he'll be the target. Well, he won't get there. You can see him moving across number 4. Gathered on the outer side, taken high. Picken. So Picken midway between the lines, wing and half forward.
He's pesty, isn't he, Picken?
Will Minson needs to drag David Hill out here. He's played it a treat, I reckon. No.
Flex at the back. Again, Hurley, good hands. And that's okay to Hill. And then Hill, well, he may have gone out on the full there. He did. It was a slow, careful kick to Zaharakis, but it missed the lot. So Boyd going to load it up with a high ball. Grant and Hill. Hill a big target. He's so good in the contested marks.
Yeah, it was bad play by Slattery. You had to go with his body. As soon as he had the jump, he was in choice of Slattery, I think.
No. Is it
Hocking? Sorry. Yeah, just didn't stay with his body. As soon as Hill gets the leap of the foot, he can jump.
Such a good goal kicker, Hill. And that's a beautiful kick. So all that good work for the Bombers. We're all square again.
Gee, that would have been a good Schoolboy Slattery seeing he's not playing.
I was going to say, I thought I saw him in the race with his suit on, and we saw the superheroes.
20, but it wasn't 20.
Saw the superheroes before the game, and he's done that. But Josh Hill, he's one of those players, not unlike a Russell Robertson or a Brett Burton, that mid-sized player that does launch at the ball. And when you're playing on those sort of players, you really need to launch with them because they're not going to stay down at ground level.
Young man from the Claremont Footy Club in Western Australia. Bounce back in the middle, approaching quarter time on Friday Night Football. Locked together. Slammed away again by Minson. Bomber supporters wanting a rebound. Grant comes up to meet it. Off to Cross, goes to half forward. Ackermanis up in front, had it knocked away by McVeigh, taken by Myers. Got boot to ball. Got too long. Ackermanis runs on. It's coming back.
Come back here, please, David.
Well, eventually it does get to his boot.
It's in this setup here where the Bombers really need to be strong in their defensive 50. They're actually quite leaky one-on-one, and I really like the move of Fletcher onto Hall. Frees up other players like Pears to play a different role, but they need to stand tall here.
Getting it on your boot has to happen on the same night. Here's Morris, short one. Hargrave just forward of the wing. Now, a lot of congestion inside the forward 50 for the Bulldogs. Hargrave just goes back to Morris. So we're down to 50 seconds and the clock continues to run.
Scott Addison very short. And that's a shocking kick, and it could be a big turnover here. Watson looks up and is, well, that's a dangerous kick from Watson. Picked off by Picken. Well done, Dempsey. Terrific stuff. He drew two players to the tackle and then released Prisbille, who releases Monfries to Gumbleton. Now, Gumbleton's got to be clever here. He wasn't. They had a real chance there, the Bombers. Now, Lake. I know Dennis is counting. Now, Gilby. Hudson. Couldn't quite. Well done, Hahn, pushing forward, looking for a free kick. Pears getting back, goes to ground. Hall's pick-up was pretty good. Takes them on, brings it back to Hargrave. Gone. Good tackle. Right on quarter time. Good time to finish at 20-all.
Good contest. Really good contest.
Not a high tackling night, but gee, there's a lot of actually turnovers, kicking the ball to opposition, a lot of clangers.
Yep, so Bombers made the running, Doggies pegged them back. It's 3-2 apiece on Friday Night Footy.
Mentioned Jason Ackermanis, Bruce. We've just seen him walk down the race, so there might be something more to that.
Second term, Etihad Stadium on a Friday night. Rucks go at it. Very early and high was Ryder. Comes back to Hudson. Boots it at right angles across the ground towards the wing. Monfries went to ground. Spills wide, taken by Stanton. Hurriedly onto the boot. Dunwood's right half forward. Lovett, Murray, Davey. They all track the ball towards the boundary, and it goes out of bounds.
Dennis, you've been very complimentary of Liam Pickin and the fact the Bulldogs really missed him a lot. It's amazing he's been back a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And their form has been very good.
And he and Boyd together, Lee, eh? Couple of tough hombres. Hudson had it knocked away by Ryder, taken by Cooney. Here's Stack in trouble. Got boot to ball, almost an involuntary action from Stanton to Davey. Goal.
Just great stuff on the turnover. That pressure again, the forward 50 pressure, which Essendon have been fantastic at so far. The Bulldogs look like they're getting away here, and just enough to put the tackle on. And Owen Davey, great finish, fantastic start by the Bombers.
Yeah, their pressure's been good. They have actually put the Bulldogs under pressure with the footy and have created a couple of turnovers.
Number one tackling team in the comp, the Bombers. So there's a school of thought they're a front-running side, but actually in the contested situation and restricting the opposition possession, they're actually right up there with the very best.
Davies played the last 4 prior to tonight, and they've won 3 of those 4. Their only defeat against Port. He's been very good since coming back. He was dropped. Back he's come. So they kicked the first 3, the Bombers, and then the Dogs obviously got the next 3, and then the early goal there. Lovett Murray, he's in trouble.
No attempt. Going to make a genuine attempt. Nate, arms just free. Going to make a genuine attempt straight to him.
There's the value of Hudson straight away, just a follow-up effort. Ryder might be able to jump over him all day, but once the ball hits the ground, very dangerous.
Harbrow needs a good bounce. There's a couple of quickies here, isn't there? Harbrow and Davey. Well done, Davey. Gumbleton dropping it down. Terrific Harbrow. Davey again. Back to Prismal. Sidestep okay. Atkinson did very well. Back to Prismal. Important to kick this, and he does. To Gumbleton. Looks up. Gives it to Watson. Watson to Winderlich. It wasn't a good handball. Winderlich had it down very low. Then puts the tackle on Griffin. Out it comes. Watson could, well, he could have kicked that. That's a poor kick.
Yeah, they had the chance to nest, and they had the spare number inside 50, but just couldn't quite find him on the way through. And the error, even under the second shot.
Zaharakis was the man, wasn't he? Always loose, but they couldn't get the ball to him. Just odd angles. Harbrow. Interesting duel that with Davey. Davey, you assume, will keep him honest. Hargrave.
You can see from the footage there, the Bombers implementing one-on-one defence all over the ground.
Hudson should have marked it, spilled it. Prismal goes after it. Hudson over the top. Emerging with it, Higgins. Creates some space for Cooney with a good hand pass. Not a good kick, though. It needs to go behind the pack for the Dogs, and it does. Down goes Picken. Was he taken high? Very lucky to get out of that. But needed to come forward for the Bombers. Gumbleton was up, and perhaps a fist forward would have been the idea. Knocked away down there by Fletcher. Taken by Stanton. Back to Fletcher. Short one is on to Hurley. Dashes across towards the outer side. Lake, the consummate professional. Well, not so. Terrible kick. Stanton. The consummate professional kept coming, though, and upended him. There's bodies everywhere. There's carnage on the outer side. Now it's with Hahn. Got it from Picken. Runs inside the 50. Hall at the second attempt and the third. Open goal, leg. Now, was that a report in the old days? All these eras merge.
It was at one point, but now the hand trip is not these days. But Fletcher really was going to run into an open goal, or you risk a free kick. By the way, he's made him have to kick it, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's now just playful.
We've seen Barry Hall play a couple of times this year. His agility when the ball hits the ground is remarkable for a 33-year-old.
The Bustler comes around and kicks the goal. He's got his second.
He's got his second. He's not going to win too many contests on Dustin Fletcher. Just at the moment, whenever the ball comes to the pair anywhere near in the air, Fletcher's reach is just getting his fist to the ball all the time. But he's had a couple of those. He got clear when Fletcher was off the ground earlier in the game, and this one was as you say, Tom, terrific agility by a really big man, and that's really one of Hall's great strengths, isn't it?
Think you'll say sorry?
You see Jason Ackermanis on screen there. He's still yet to have a touch, but he has been having some work by one of the medicos on his right hamstring. He did disappear down the race for a period of time. He came back. He's limbering up at the moment. The suggestion is that he'll be back on shortly.
Thanks, Tim. So Hudson out of the centre. Back to an all-square game here. Hall with a couple of goals. Keeping up that remarkable record that he has against the Bombers. He averages close to 4 goals. His career average about 2.5, but this is his team. Lovett, Murray and Stanton. Here the umpire. Well done by Lovett Murray, but held up in the tackle.
A lot of congestion around the footy. You sometimes look at the game and you think like the ground shrunk because it's just all the spaces away from the footy. Wherever the footy is, there's just a mass of bodies around it. So There's a lot of bodies to evade if you get your hands on it.
Girardi do well. They work to the front. Lovett Murray search for it. Terrific stuff. Cooney. And then Stack going forward high. Was it? No. Prismal did duck. Atkinson belts it out to a dangerous spot. Hill goes back. Boyd straightens the body. Doesn't get it far enough. Bombers take a chance. Dempsey to Atkinson.
Atkinson low towards the wing. One thing Monfries does very well is that hard lead. Little chip along the boundary from Atkinson to Jetta. Jetta inside the forward 50. In from the side. Williams does well. Angles the punch out of bounds. 26 apiece. Early going second term. Friday night football.
It's been important player time, Williams, for the Bulldogs this year. A lot's been said about Brian Lake's form. No coincidence that Williams has been able to get on the ground and play every game this year. He's just providing some extra defensive support for the Bulldogs.
Hill tries to hook it down behind. Minson won it for Jan Siracusa. Ran into a dead end. Hurley feeds it out. Lovett Murray. Myers again with the left foot. And he just misses behind.
It's a good matchup, that Williams and Gumbleders. Are two young key position players who are now in, what, about their fourth year in the fifth year in the competition.
Plenty of injuries between the two of those.
Both really highly regarded. First round draft choices, both of them.
Well, both of them didn't play a game in 2 separate years, very early in their career, so they could chat a bit about that. But they're on the upward move here. Hahn to Harbrow. Puts it out in front of Picken. Stanton and Picken. He's got to hold him now. Picken handballs to himself. Gets a high tackle.
Hey, come up, Brent. Let's go back and kick on.
What was really good about that was his ability to...
Again. Your arms come up on the shoulder.
This is the umpire's call, but his ability to hold his possession in front, hold his position, not go to ground. He was always in control of keeping his body between his opponent and the football.
She's a big free kick to give away by Stanton, isn't it? Because they had the numbers in the end, Essendon. And Picken was not bad at kicking a goal. That one across the face, and Hill, well, he should have taken it on his chest in the end, and then handballs to a very dangerous spot. Higgins down low, and the Bombers, I think, take a big sigh of relief for the ball out of play.
Just on that, I think that highlights again the fact that I still reckon the players are confused as to when they can take the ball over the line. David Hill was under enough pressure to take it over, but chose not to.
Boundary throw in. Hill's in front. Reaching over the top was Fletcher. Cooney close to the line. Boyd taken out. Ball stayed in. Higgins bounced it as far as Dempsey. Hand pass McVeigh across to Howlett. Pops it to the pocket. Taken by Stanton. But there's no doubt about that. We talked about it last week. I mean, whoops. Well, Pearce was running away with his back turn. Fletcher grabs the football and kicks it out of bounds. And that was pretty clever. He controlled the football with the kick, but Pearce was no help. He was just cruising away. And I'm sure Fletcher thought Pearce was behind him, but Pearce had gone on vacation.
So Stanton, for not the first time tonight, misses a target, but won't maybe blame him for all of that. Minson back to Howlett. It's been impressive, Howlett, on the rookie list. He was never going to get much on that kick. Harbrow, centering kick. Bombers with a chance, though. Mark not taken by Gumbledon. Good gang tackling. Myers held up. Grant did very, very well. And then with the check side, kicks are behind. It was a good individual effort, that one.
Look, the Goods in traffic there. Highly touted youngster who's getting more game time this year.
Must have fancied his left foot, because that was a difficult across the foot, outside of the foot, right footer.
Winderlich in short. Fletcher. I guess at half-time tonight. Dustin Fletcher. Deep in his own defensive area. Told to play on. Needs to be precise with the kick, and that was beautiful. Man bearing down. Howlett took the mark. Comes back to the middle. Myers has got it. Myers. 360. Just to throw them off the scent. Goes back to Howlett. So Howlett on the defensive 50. Just sets it high. Williams works in front too easy. That was ambitious to send it that way. Parceled up for Stanton. He had no play on the ball. Now Lake's got it. Slips it back to Williams. Williams hard against the boundary line. Into the oncoming Gumbleton. Out of bounds.
Both sides have set up defensively extremely well. The Bulldogs then had the full ground press going, and young Howler couldn't find a way through it, as opposed to the one-on-one tactic the Bombers are employing.
So Hill front spot, and then Minson's tackle good on Myers. Watson, beautiful hands, gets it back from Ryder to Hill. He's a long kick, Hill. He's kicked that hopefully for Davey. Morris, he'll want it to go out. So the Bombers with a chance from a stoppage here. And Davey could be a key here too in a situation like this. Hill and Minson. Hill tapped it back. Winderlich running it forward. Monfrey's goal. Well played, Essendon.
Tends to be a game that just doesn't look like a free-flowing game. Now, both sides tend to like to play that free-flowing game offensively, but I think the defensive work of both teams, being able to create a goal out of a forward stoppage, is always a bit of a bonus when there's a lot of numbers back there. I think it was Winderlich was the one who forced the ball forward, but there isn't a whole lot of flow in the game. Both sides defending really well.
There's Winderlich there, just getting a block. Ackermanis was actually on him. Watson blocked him and created that space for Winderlich then to run off Ackermanis. It was good play at a forward stoppage.
So Monfrey's now 12 goals on the season. Joins David Zaharakis as the leading goal scorer for the Bombers. Amazing stat that. You have to go back to 1921 when someone scored under 30. They're on pace for just over 30 at the moment. Zaharakis goes to half forward Hurley. Hurley looks inside the forward 50. Here comes Paddy Ryder. I think it's a free kick. May have paid the mark. He's directly in front.
Got strong hands, isn't he, on the lead, Ryder. Got good speed. I mean, no doubt that Hill and Ryder are the best ruckman forwards, I think, in the competition. Maybe Cox and Natanui would possibly challenge them, but they're both really good off the full forward line.
The impressive part of play then was Hurley leading up on Lake, making Lake accountable, taking him out of the back 50 arc.
Ryder 2 goals last week in cahoots with Hill, who had a career high in just about every category last week. Ryder puts it through for a goal. Interesting. Nobody standing in the goal square for the Dogs.
Yes, certainly Essendon get good use out of the ruckman, don't they? They're the one team that seems to be able to play the 2 ruckmen on the ground for the majority of the game, but because both of them are good full forward line tools. And so Hill's in the ruck at the moment, Ryder at full forward, but Gumbleton floating around centre half forward. That works well. A lot of smalls around them, gives them good ground level agility and good height in the forward line.
So they pinch a bit of a break as they did at the start of the first quarter. Ryder and Hill coming in 12 goals between them in 2 weeks. 7 and 5. That adds to your strength. And then Hill brilliantly to Winderlich. Wide to Monfries. It's a good matchup, this, Morris versus Monfries. And Morris tapping to the line and finding it. Go to you, Tim.
Well, there's a real problem at the moment for the Essendon defence, which they seem to have been able to cover. That is, Myers is now going to play as that tall defender in the back line. When the Bulldogs go tall in their forward line in the first quarter, they were actually having to shift Hurley.
So Hurley's still forward as we speak. Atkinson, Hamble wanting Pears to run under it, and he's got him now. Pears kept it back in, but to the advantage of Lake, but over the top. Well played, Williams. Higgins, Williams did it well. To Griffin, and then Griffin on the left. Hocking pushed his man out, and Zaharakis took a good mark.
Gutsy.
There's a lot to like about Zaharakis.
Have a look at the numbers. It's a tough one to find a target through there.
Well, he's just going to hope for someone to take him out. Ryder's the one. Couldn't quite. Hudson front spot. Addison, it went to ground. Out it comes. Slick hands. Ryder's little kick.
Sure.
Gave it a chance. He's up and going, Paddy, isn't he?
Another server.
I often don't take nosy hit outs much because all it is a touch of the footy, but Hill and Ryder, their ruck work has been really influential, I would have thought, at this point of the game.
Gee, if you've got a ruckman, resting ruckman playing forward and then putting forward pressure on like that, that's a pretty good sign.
Well, you should know with Ottens over the years.
Half round the back pocket then. The margin is out to 13 points now. Hudson. Oh, that's a good grab. The defensive side of centre wing to Griffin. Sold him immediately into trouble. Goes back to Higgins. Higgins finds a way through to Morris, falling to the ground. Stanton through the interchange gates. There we say it. The kick goes down towards half forward. Minson goes back, flicks it to Hill. Hill, well, he's playing against quality there. Fletcher tied it up in the short term. Fletcher defies the angles with that body. Suddenly an arm or a leg just appears from nowhere.
Now, Tim mentioned before that Myers is having to play tall. I wouldn't mind a bet that they've released Pears. He's actually had more goals kicked on him than any other Bomber. Might be low in confidence, so he's playing lesser role.
More back flankish
yeah,
role,
he is, yeah.
Griffin deep in the pocket. Getting back is Hocking. Still in. Okay. Dempsey.
So Dempsey arches his back and then hooks the ball back to a contest. Well played by Hocking, and now gets it back. She kept his head well, Hocking. That's well done on a couple of counts. Gets it to Stanton. He just held up. He's got the short one now with the handball on to Dempsey. Little kick, terrible. Awful. Hudson, well, he coughs it up too. And then Dempsey brilliantly gets it back. McVeigh switches it up okay. Pears, Lonigan on the burst. Jetta can run and carry, decides not to. Back to Prismal, back to Jetta. Can they get themselves into a goal-scoring opportunity?
Oh.
That's just, well, it's so wasteful, but it's not a mark. It's play on, apparently.
Tell you one thing, I've never seen as many clanger kicks at a half.
Well.
A clanger kick is when you kick it straight to the opposition. And both sides are doing that ad nauseum in this first quarter and a bit.
It was like he was stuck in the headlights, Jetta. He was absolutely frozen.
Well, same last week. He is very reluctant to take a shot at goal. Very reluctant. And he's got to do that. Someone's got to speak to Leroy.
He's got the speed, hasn't he? You just would have wanted him to. He had probably 10 metres to take off through the 50-metre arc. He can jump, can't he? Right.
Yeah. Pickens got the free. He was penalised for that, was he? I was off in my own little world. I missed it. Here's Cross, swings it out wide. On the outer side, Gilby looks inside the forward 50. Bacon goal square. He's trying to bounce it through and he just misses. Oh, that was quick thinking. He assessed it brilliantly. And the kick almost the equal of the thought process. Hocking kicks it in.
Be an interesting little world of yours, I reckon, Dan, every now and then.
It's crazy tonight. Friday's never any good.
Full moon on.
Oh, no.
Don't need it.
Don't need it.
So Watson's kick wide. Stanton and Picken, good duel that.
Stays with him, yeah. I mean, they've both had a bit of the footy. Stan's had 14 disposals and Pickens had 12. So that's good ball getting by Stan, but Pickens being alongside him every opportunity.
First 5 weeks, Stanton averaged 29. Last 4, he's averaged 21. So his numbers tonight pretty good so far. Good tackle on Boyd from Howlett. Ball out. Stack's been quiet. And then bends it back. Inside the 50, Hill leading in the race against Dempsey. Dempsey's been very good. That handball from Myers is not good. And then Grant Hocking's a tough man to knock off the foot. He did well, Hocking. Higgins had a real crack at him. Back from Myers to Hocking. Hocking, well, it's a clever bit of play by Griffin. Hahn bashing and crashing. Can't get through. Held up. Jetta, good handball in the end. Pears arches his back again, a very dangerous kick. Zaharakis, oh, he's got a bit of talent, this boy.
Terrific grab. Zaharakis decides to play on from half-back. Feeds it inside. Pears makes it look okay. Takes something off the kick down towards half-forward. Now a chance for Davey. Hill is on the move. Davey, a little indecisive. Goes across towards half-forward. Lack of talking. McVeigh a fumble. Gee, they made hard work of that. McVeigh gets a free kick, but the Bombers very lucky. McVeigh looks for Gumbleton, who simply lost his marker.
Well, they made it work from the set kick, but when they did come through for that previous bit of play, they had one-on-one numbers forward of the footy, but they didn't seem to want to go to anything like a contest deep in.
Hey, Scott, right there, line's good.
Started there with Zaharakis. Fantastic mark. And the kick here is absolutely spot on.
So Gumbleton, just a couple of possessions tonight so far. Important kick here. Will stretch the margin to 18 points. When he comes and he kicks it.
they've continued on the way they start. It's amazing how that first 5 minutes of the game can often sort of set the scene, and certainly the Essendon grabbed hold of that. The Bulldogs got him again, but then just at the moment they can't get any run or flow through the middle of the ground. You look to an Adam Cooney. He's had only 4 kicks, but he hasn't been able to get him running forward and really testing the opposition defence.
At the moment, it seems the Bombers are really happy to play the game in a contested situation.
Yep.
And you mentioned Adam Cooney has only had the 4 kicks. He hasn't been able to get out in space. Ryan Griffin's down. They really need an extra bit of run and carry through the midfield to get back into this game.
Oh, Adam Cooney, free kick.
There you go.
On cue.
Let go of his arm.
Cooney's free. So it's the big margin again of the match. Back to that 3-goal margin. Cooney looking for Hall. It's a long one. Well, he's dropped him in the end. He'll probably fetch it back, you would think. He does, but it was a bit clumsy, wasn't it? Back to Hargrave, off 1 step. And good mark by Ackermanis. This will be his first real disposal. He's had a handball. That's a searching kick, a beauty by Acker. It was piercing, wasn't it?
I was just watching this as it came down. Paddy Ryder was floating around centre-half back, and Ben Hudson got behind him. Paddy Ryder, you see Barry Hall drop the ball. I was about to talk about Paddy Ryder, ball watching, and just got caught gazing at the ball, and Ben Hudson was smart enough to get behind him. We spoke about how good the Bombers are drifting forward. This is an opportunity for payback for Hudson.
He doesn't kick a lot of goals. He kicked a goal last week. He's only kicked 11 in 112 weeks, so 12 matches. I don't reckon he would have kicked goals in consecutive weeks too often. But right in front, he's got it. Bombers the Bulldogs needed it, didn't they? So they get one back.
I think Paddy Ryder's a much better forward than defender, and we often see that. The ruckman as forwards tend to be always better than a ruckman who's trying to defend.
Especially when you draw the ball like he does. You can understand that he was drifting down as the ball comes down. He was drifting through the centre, through to centre-half back without any real awareness of where Hudson was, not paying him the respect he deserved as a forward, and got found out.
Well, if you're going through the record books, don't get the Hudsons confused. That's the first time that Ben's kicked 2 goals in consecutive games. So, back in the middle, 46-34. That was interesting. Bit of bluff in the middle. Boyd, Minson. Oh, well gathered by Cooney. Loops it over the top. Taken by Hill. Vacant goal square. He goes for the lot. He's wide of the mark. Getting back is Fletcher. 5 metres out. The short one is on. Nerves of steel by Fletcher to Stanton. Dogs needing the next one. Atkinson still inside the defensive 50. Margin back to 12. Under 5 minutes to half-time. Big Friday night crowd. Atkinson plays on. Goes in short. Winderlich takes the mark. Boyd trailing him by a couple of steps. Precision kicking. This is Howlett. Through the centre circles. Very close to Grant. Long ball inside the forward 50. Well, there he is again, Lake. That was terrific. Just the short one coming out to Cross. Spots Boyd. Running for him is Hargrave. On is Gian Siracusa. He'll get it now. Gian Siracusa, right half forward. Moving is Minson. That movement attracts the footy. Minson goes up. Tracks it back towards the boundary. Side puts it down towards the goal square. And it trickles out of bounds.
Ryder getting back that time, but still not looking really comfortable. The important few minutes, you feel. The Bombers deserve to be in front at half-time, but got the feeling the Doggies are going to get very close. So a throw, and it looked certain, so against Minson. Hurley played forward and back. Hasn't had much impact. Here's Stanton. Most of Stanton's stuff's been in the back half, hasn't it? To Hocking. Now, Hocking wanted Jetta, decided not to. Poor handball, but Stanton's got the pace with a bounce now. Looks up, goes back to Jetta, and then Jetta, that's a good kick to Monfries, who's their lead-up man. Now, Monfries decides to go to the pocket. It's a good kick. He's got a lovely pair of hands, Gumbleton.
It's really improved, Gumbleton. He's played every game. He's actually played the second most amount of minutes for the Bombers behind Fletcher this year, which is a great sign for Bombers supporters that he's durable again.
That's Hill.
Gee, it's important here. Bang. It looks like he's all right. Well, don't get a better view than this, do you? Right behind Gumbleton. And that's behind. But he's a target, and it's a great thing to have, isn't it?
He's a mover. He looks like he's more a mover than a body-to-body. He's got good height, but he mainly gets his marks out in front. He's got good ads out in front. Oh. If he can get his body strength, that block collision off the footy, call it what you like.
He's been quite aggressive in his own right so far this year, Hill, but that was a bit off the play.
Hudson having a very good game. He's up to 15 possessions now. Kicks beyond the wing. Hall's got it. Breaking for him is Cross. Cross is marked about 55 metres out. Needs someone to come at him. Not much happening. Hudson now is the man. Hudson just drifting inside the forward 50. Instead goes to Ackermanis. That's ambitious because Dempsey's been in good form. Hahn, Higgins runs outside the 50. Cooney to Hahn. Men on the far side. Just chips it across. Taken by Hargrave. Unloads. Will need the man from behind. Hill. Hands to it. Couldn't hang on. In goes Dempsey. Taken by Hocking. Hall snaps. Oh, like vinyl, they're coming back. Hall puts it through.
Been good at ground level, hasn't he, Hall? It's certainly in the air, as I've said earlier. I think Fletcher's got him in control in the air. But his ground level agility is always something that makes him dangerous, even if he's not marking the footy.
Well, we've seen 3 Bombers go up against Hill there. It's always a bit of a worry when 3 fly against one, particularly when Barry Hall's lurking at the ground, because he has been kicking goals as a marking target, but just as dangerous on the floor.
Six of his 31 goals have been snaps this year, and his 6 goals, 0 from snaps. Or hasn't missed a snap all season.
Looks really strong through the core. His agility is sort of sidestepping, and that correlates to snapping the ball as well.
So they do close the margin. Winderlich with another clearance, and then went down with the kick. Morris against Zaharakis. Grant, that was good play. Lake. It's a clever handball, really. He'd run out of room. The angles were all wrong for him, and he knew that he had the boundary line as the safety net.
Love watching Brian Lake play. He's very creative, if nothing else.
Well, with Scarlett's injury again, Lake's probably the front runner to be the fullback in the All-Australian side, as he was last year.
And it wouldn't be by default.
No.
Hill probably winning that tap, and then Lovett Murray deciding to give it a bit of a heave-ho forward. Griffin against the flow to Cooney. So important, though, that pair, aren't they? And then Cooney off one step. Hudson has been so good. Hurley to make the contest. Well, how many marks has Hudson took in that spot to die? I reckon about 3 or 4. Grant gets it from Pickett. That's a clever kick to Cross. Well, he's dropped the sitter. He had John running into an open goal, but it unfolded, unwrapped.
That's 6 marks for the big guy, Hudson.
Second time for Grant. He certainly doesn't like dropping the ball on the left foot. He's gone for the inside-out kick.
So bounce 60 metres out. Just over a minute to go. Scores will level at quarter time. Another possession for Hudson. Not his best, though. Stanton from half back to half forward. Time for either side to score. Morris could have almost got a free. Feeds it across towards a teammate there in Harbrow. Harbrow, Hudson, Hill over the top, spills behind, taken by Pears. 40 seconds remaining. Oh, Monfrey's run down from behind. Almost. What a wonderful gather by Ryder. Ball spills free. Opportunity for Pears.
He's in heavy traffic. Gang tackled. And then Griffin arches his back and away he goes. To Cross to Griffin. Can he carry it all the way down there? Floating kick. Hall's kick 3. The bounce of the ball. Fletcher. Well, maybe one last chance for the Bombers. Good way to finish the first half, isn't it? Monfrey's on the burst, but he's running sideways. Back inside, poor kick. He went the wrong. He made Criswell go back. Well, maybe they'll take a deep breath and take that 7-point lead into half-time. You felt like they had to be in front at half-time with all the front running they've done, and they are. Perfectly set up on Friday night footy, isn't it? It's a 7-point ball game. Acker hasn't had much of it. The one kick was a beauty, but the pressure on him. Hall's kicked 3 to keep up his great record against the Bombers. Ryder and Hill, pretty good, but so's Hudson. It's all set up for what should be Terrific second half of footy here.
I think Ben Hudson's been terrific so far. 12 contested possessions out of his 16, really making both Hill and Ryder work at the contest.
Let's go down to Tim Watson.
Well, here with David Hill. David, a really tight first half of football, but a good start to the game for the Bombers.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Being up like that at half-time, obviously, we take more care of our skills, and hopefully we're right in the second half.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you about that first quarter, about looking after the footy, particularly when you're going forward to the centre.
Yeah, that was our problem in the first quarter. I think we're a little bit better there. Transition also was good, and our intent still there, so yeah, not too bad first half.
Yeah, what happened with you? Bump off the ball there?
7 points, 7-5-6-4. The Bulldogs coming back late in both quarters. It was all square at quarter time. Ryder on the way down, hooks it over his shoulder. Hudson again, geez, worked hard. Grant forward of the play, spills wide to Griffin. Griffin takes something off the kick. Fletcher, forced to spoil, did it well. Hocking, been resolute back there, lays it off. Pears, Prismal, runs the outer side, kicks it up towards the wing, and Ryder takes the mark.
Good stretch. I just feel that Ryder and Hill have got to continue to have big matches here tonight. Gumbleton did really well there against Williams. He was in the box seat.
Certainly worked his way back into it, Hudson. Early in the game, I thought the Essendon ruckman really doing good work around the ruck hit-outs, but certainly over the whole game, Hudson's been very good.
You said to me pre-matchly that you felt Hudson thrived on a challenge, and he's got that tonight, but he's rising. When we did Friday Night Footy a couple of weeks ago, I thought he was terrific against Jamar, a similar type of player to him. Took him on and got the better of him. So those stats all pretty even along with the scoreboard. Essendon have made the early running in both the first two quarters. Cooney, possibly the key to the match, you reckon. Kicks to half forward. Fletcher, brilliant. Just worked Hall underneath it.
Hands in the back.
Gee.
He's called that from a very long way.
I thought he might have used his body there.
And there's another umpire inside the forward 50.
It certainly wasn't hands in the back. It might have been forearm in the back, but unless it's a push, that's in fact not illegal.
I think it was a double action. It was the sort of extend of the elbow that accentuated the movement.
So the free kick to Hall, and then the short one inside, and Fletcher's going to fetch it back and then kick the ball as far as he possibly can and hope that it goes out, and that's a good result. Gee, he might make a good punter in the NFL, eh? He's a mighty fine AFL player.
No, I don't see that as a free kick.
No. Harsh call. And there was an umpire at about 45 degrees away to the right of them, and just behind. He didn't blow the whistle. Now it spills to Gian Siracusa. Essendon fans thinking a bit of in the back there. Hahn got it from Hudson. Kicks inside the forward 50. That time it's okay.
They mentioned at half-time. I really don't think he looks like his age at all, Fletcher.
Goes in short to Winderlick, who had to wait.
Well, it's been a long time since we've seen him play as the key defender. Hasn't lost it.
Ryder knocks it back to Winderlick, the man who kicked it to him. Hocking. Dempsey's been good. Now Stanton feeds McVeigh. Nobody up ahead. He could have run to 50. Demands a lead and finds Zaharakis.
Zaharakis hasn't actually kicked a goal. The leading, we see the Fletcher one here again. Pretty much the same. Was it a replay? But Zaharakis hasn't kicked the goal yet. One of the high goal-scoring options for Essendon. They've got 7 already. Matthew Knight spoke about the different avenues before the game, and causing the Dogs some trouble at the moment.
Interesting, that replay. We didn't know which one it was. Zaharakis comes in. Was it touched on the line? I don't think so. I think he's got the goal. He has.
Good start by Essendon, wasn't it? The way they ran off halfback. The defence has been really good all night. They've had plenty of entries, the Bulldogs. 26 for only 6 goals at half-time. So the defence of Essendon, led by Fletcher, has been really good on the rebound.
Second terrific inside 50 from McVeigh. We saw him just before half-time. Nailed Gumbleton, I think it was, and laced out to Zaharakis.
One player who's really important to the Bulldogs, Gian Siracusa. We haven't seen much of him tonight, just 6 touches. Heath Hocking has worn him like a glove.
That was Bulldog-like, I reckon, that transition, don't you, from the back forward. Good kicking, fast pace. Ryder, well done. Watson held up in the tackle, free kick.
Holding.
Yeah, just the moment Essendon's ball carry is working much better than the Bulldogs, that part of the game.
Hocking the targets, good kick by Watson, and Hocking on the left takes a chance, good kick inside, and Lonergan's got it. Now remember earlier tonight he handballed off when he was a little bit further out than this. Surely he'll take the shot now.
And I think Picken is now playing permanent defence, so that's a real win for Stanton.
Absolutely.
Who have dropped off the tag at half-time.
Big kick this. I mean, back to that 3-goal margin if he does it for the third time tonight in each of the quarters.
Could be the 9th individual goal scorer for the Bombers already.
Well, it's not going to get there. And the front spot late, and he's taken the mark.
I played a mark. I played a mark. I played a mark.
You heard the explanation. So,
yeah.
Gee, Lonergan, his distance must be about 40 metres, obviously. He just couldn't go all the way there. So Harbrow's kicked to Minton. Oh, well done. Dempsey coming from nowhere.
It's been really good tonight, Dempsey. He started the game terrifically well with about 3 or 4 great defensive efforts. We see, no question about that one. Dempsey started the game extremely well, and he's continuing that. Some really strong defensive efforts.
Margin out to 13 points. Ryder is up, directs it down. Over the ball, Griffin digs it out. Harbrow. Prismal coming in the opposite direction. Ball wedged between the pair and a bounce.
We spoke about that goal kicking. Normally any player sort of 50 inside is going to make the distance, but down that left of camera end, there's been about 4 times where about 45 metre kicks have dropped short.
Ryder beautifully. That is Stanton. Prismal across to McVeigh. Long kick. It'll pitch in front of Zaharakis and unkindly bounces away from him and goes out of bounds, but still good spot here.
I would say that was another long kick that went 35 metres. The ball's just not travelling down that end.
It might be a gale that we don't know of under the roof of the dome.
It's starting to sound like Blighty, Lee. Pears.
We'll work it out eventually.
Well done, Cross. Stack, who's had a quiet night. Grant the target. It was a good kick, actually. He didn't have much room to get the angle. And Gilby's one of them. And so Stack running hard. Gilby did well there.
Oh.
Not on.
So, too far off the ball?
No, I'm saying that's absolutely fine.
I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah.
If it was more than 5 metres, it was about 6 metres.
Yeah, fine for Gilby. Yeah, harshly treated.
Gee, big turnover. Jetta getting hold of it and going very wide. Myers, well, he's got a panic here. He's a left footer. 1 bounce. 2 bounces. He's a little cumbersome. Then he kicks it long and hard and high. Gumbleton, you betcha. Gee, you can take a mark.
Got good reach, hasn't he?
The great thing about that, Gumbleton's ended up with the ball. Hurley actually presented really hard to the kicker, which made Brian Lake accountable, which it enabled them to get over the top. We might be able to get a good... No, this is the Gilby.
No idea why that's a free kick.
No, that's harsh. And it looks like it's going to be quite a costly penalty.
Well, big kick. They're all big kicks, I know, but this one, again, stretches the margin. An emerging talent, isn't he? He's got it home. He's careful on the boot. He's kicked 2, and the Bombers are away again.
I think we're probably thinking that both sides are good with ball in hand in space, but Essendon are getting into space with ball in hand, although I guess the Bulldogs were very unlucky. It probably should have been a goal to them down the other end. It's a fine line, isn't it, a turnover and a free kick like that. But Essendon seem to be the ones getting into space and being able to carry it.
It's been very impressive, Myers, but I think the fact that Brian Lake is being made to play accountable football, really good result.
The Bombers have been rotating Davey and Jetta. Harbrow's really had his hands full tonight. Both have been instructed to run up into the midfield. They're really trying to work him over.
Margin, 19 points, the biggest of the night. Hill goes up, hooks it down behind. Hahn under pressure. And that's been the cornerstone of the efforts by the Bombers tonight. Here's Stanton. A little indecisive, a hot one for a man who is standing stationary as Captain Watson. Cooney's away, 3 bounces, runs inside the forward 50. What was he thinking? In front is Fletcher, deflects it across to Dempsey, hammers a hand pass across to Hocking. Now it's with Myers, miscues with a kick, gathering it is Boyd, back inside the 50, Grant. Well, Cooney is coming off the ground. You can see him in the foreground there. Well, you could. And there he is. We chose to try and pass the ball, and there was no evident lead. Now Gilby's got it, gets a man in the air, runs around Pears, pressured by Hocking, affected the kick. Hill in the last line of defence, slips a hand pass away to Dempsey.
To Jetta. So Jetta with a running bounce, and then neat looking kick. Morris, well, he probably had his hands in the back of Monfries. Well done, Acker. Gets it to Minson, to Addison, and then Addison to Boyd. It's in. Oh, Griffin, take your pick. Griffin's got it and he charges away. Stanton can't bring him down. Griffin gets to 55. Well, the percentage in that wasn't very high. It's a long way from home going to the pocket there, where he had a couple of options inside with a handball.
At least we saw him running and bouncing with the ball. He's actually one of the best in the competition at carrying and metres gained. That's the positive, but needed to bring it back inside the corridor to get a more attacking shot on goal.
Gee, Watson was just brilliant there. That was a magnificent handball to Fletcher. And then Winderlich to Myers.
Myers up from the back pocket then. Short one is on to Prismal, just outside the defensive 50. Where will he go now? Not much on offer. Comes out wide to Atkinson. It's a good kick of the football, Prismal. Now he runs hard through midfield. Minson goes across to close him down. That's Prismal. Atkinson, meantime, told to play on the defensive side of the wing. He kicks it down towards half forward. Why not? Ryder is there. Coming back, Williams. Hurley, left front and square, kicks it down towards the pocket. Clever by Monfries. Leads back in the race. Addison with him step for step. Took him down. Comes across to Higgins. Meters in the clear. Kicks towards centre half back. They need to hold here, the Dogs. Hocking. Winderlich. Slips a hand pass away. Prismal kept his head. Now Jetta needs to go back and kick it. Well, he hates kicking at goal. He gives it to Davey. It's worked out okay, but his first instinct is constantly to give it off. And I guess in that situation, fair enough.
Well, we'll say the way it's been going at this end, this will barely make the distance.
Where's Lloydie when you need him? Throw the grass up and see what the wind's doing down there.
So Davey. His brother was in sparkling form last week. So question of accuracy, I would imagine, despite that breeze. And he puts it straight through the middle.
Big leaders are 25 points now, and they're going better. They look like they're scoring easier. The Essendon defence is fairly much on top. The Bulldogs haven't scored in this second half. They had a couple of opportunities, but haven't taken the right options, turned the ball over. So just at the moment, Essendon are controlling that back half, and that rebound is getting them goals down the other end.
Controlling the tempo of the game, the Bombers. They're really playing it on their own terms.
Again, getting all the goals early. Do you remember round one when Essendon led Geelong at a similar stage by 24 points?
Yep.
All right, now they're 25 points in front against another big scout.
They're also playing a really taxing game of football, so it'll be interesting to see in this next quarter and a half how their legs run out this game.
Lovett Murray takes the man on, drops it down. Winderlich's been very good. Punching forward. Hargrave, Watson, terrific. And then nearly got it off him, picked his pocket, Watson did, and then has to get it out, and he did. Gee, the captain played that well.
Terrific footage. It ended up being an even number contest after 3 or 4 seconds, but Watson went in hard. The next 3 players were in red and black as well. Really easy to see. They're just outnumbering the contest all the time. That's a great sign from the Bombers.
Cross, third man up. Prismal getting a bit of it. Just forced off it by Hahn. Hahn's awkward kick. Cross running onto it. Has the most handballs in the AFL. Acker gets it to Cooney. Cooney, well, another funny old kick from Cooney. Normally so reliable in that area. Hocking to Zaharakis. Gee, next goal's big, isn't it? Pears, he's got Hill long. He's got him. So Hill from about 55 metres right of the target. And Paddy's got it. Well, they've got confidence in going in long and quick, haven't they?
Well, Hill and Ryder have just been a fantastic combination. I saw a graphic during the week. David Hill spends the first 5 or 6 minutes on the bench, then goes in the ruck for about 12 minutes, then goes forward. And when you've got a complementary set of ruckmen, like the Bombers do with Hill and Ryder, to see Hill kick it to Ryder is another tangent to it altogether. Terrific stuff.
He's kicked 5 in the last 2 weeks. He's got 2 more tonight, and the Bombers might be away for good now.
Well, that's the type of play that Essendon will be doing much better than the Bulldogs, taking possession across half-back and being able to run into the midfield space and score. They've done that really well on 4 or 5 occasions. We think of the Bulldogs that can do that kind of thing. They need Cooney or Griffin, those kind of players, to be really running through the middle of the ground. But at the moment, there's a variety of Essendon players. Winderlick is probably leading the charge, but their midfield run is just overpowering the Bulldogs at this point of time.
One of the great advantages is having Dustin Fletcher play full-back on Barry Hall has freed up Tate Perry. He's quite a creative player for a young player. He's been doing the big jobs one-on-one, hasn't been going so well. So terrific coaching from Matthew Knights to free him up and use the ball going forward. He set that goal up from the wing.
Now Paddy Ryder is up on the ball. The man who kicked the goal, Cooney, away to Boyd. Hall is off the ground. He's on the interchange bench. Crowd delighted with that. Stack's got the footy meantime. Minson has gone to full forward. What a big goal kicker. Grant. Tackle taken down by Stanton, and the umpire says, give it to me.
That is an interesting point, isn't it, Thomas? You mentioned Tate Pierce, that he was playing full-back, defending pretty well, running off, but having goals kicked against him. He's really just playing virtually half-back flank tonight, isn't it? It's been really good.
Davey emerges from the pack with a footy into the path of Atkinson. Hargrave in pursuit. Atkinson goes to ground. Hargrave did well. Feeds it back to Higgins over the top to Gilby. Back it comes to Hargrave. Kicks inside the forward 50. Minson battles down there. Directs it down at Jan Siracusa. Flings it over the top. Grant muscled by Pears. Minson just missed it. Myers measures the hand pass. Bombers away again. Dempsey to space. Now Watson storms the outer side wing. Couple of bounces. McVeigh decides to continue the relay. Jenner sprints hard, just inside the boundary. Big opening about 30 metres from goal. He looks to the hole, no one coming at him. Has to work around the man on the mark. That was the hole. He kicked it directly to Cross. Harbrow across the face of goal. Even the poise of Lake will be tested here. He knocks it out of bounds.
Well, we've done some scrappy kicks, haven't we?
Yep.
I mean, really just virtually unpressured in space. That was McVeigh. We spoke about Ackermanis a little bit. That was McVeigh running off Ackermanis to create the spare on the wing. Ackermanis trailing 40 metres away.
Ryder, Lovett, Murray, Hudson, terrific, to Cooney. The handball in dangerous territory, but okay, picking from Griffin. And then the run of Higgins. Little kick, well done by Hocking. Tim's talked about him. Stack takes the bounce. He's got a vacant goal square. He might fancy himself. He's gone. Well done, Myers. Bad play, Stack.
Sums up the Bombers tonight, doesn't it?
Nothing to go to. Great defence.
To Ryder. You just feel they're one goal away from breaking them completely here, don't you? Winderlick. Their transition foot in this quarter has been so impressive. Neat kick to the pocket, gives Lonergan half a chance. That's not a bad result. They've been good at the stoppages.
As Stack was running forward, I was just keeping my eye on Jason Ackermanis. You see him just in the screen there. Have visions of him streaking forward with Stack to get the handball. I question whether he's fit at the moment.
Well, it's not a footy injury. It might be Ryder's block. Ball's out of bounds on the 50. Boundary throw in.
Very good, Dennis.
That's one of your best, you know.
You're marking him now, are you?
It's a long list. Don't worry, it's a long list. They're all good.
Boundary throw in just inside the 50. Reaching over the top, Hudson. Winderlick. Well done by Zaharakis. Numbers around the footy. Hurley, McVeigh. High ball down towards full forward. Could have almost been over the shoulder. Hand pass comes across towards Howlett. Now Lovett Murray fed it forward. They're still battling the Bombers. About 40 metres out from goal. No easy release here for the Bulldogs. Made to earn it. Hill was the man at the base of that pack back near goal that kept the ball in their possession. 26 possessions last week, a career high as far as Hill was concerned. 14 marks, a career high. And 3 goals. 1 goal off his career high. Monfries taken down. Howlett's got the footy.
Gets it to Prismal. Prismal gets some space. And Davey went to ground, and now Lake's got a chance. Bursting away. He's got Grant short, and he's going to go to Grant now. The Bombers trying to corral him here. Grant goes back inside with that. Well, that's been the story of the night for the Bulldogs. A kick by Stanton to Gumbleton to Winderlick. Good looking kick to Hill. Oh, well done, Lake.
Great work from Brian Lake. Just Grant for the third time tonight. we'd love to see him turn on the left, but wasn't able to, so it's cost his side on a few occasions. Brian Lake, terrific defender.
So Minson and Hill. Hill down in front, Lovett, Murray. Cooney gets hold of him. Boyd. Then Boyd back to his maiden cross. Crosses handball. He asks a bit of Gilby. Gilby runs his full measure. Kicks a long ball. Fletcher should mark it. He does. Can they counter-attack here? Wide to Myers. It'll be a bit short of Myers and goes to Hocking, who's been so dependable again tonight, to Hurley. And then Hurley decides to go with a long ball. Stanton the target. Good mark. Now, he's a good kick, Stanton. He could drill this.
Bombers have been very deliberate in their approach. They haven't attacked the corridor all that often, but they have used the boundary. And when they have, they've kicked it very accurately. Does, of course, make the kick at goal a little tougher, but Bruce, you've called him in.
A lot of the ball tonight. He's been down the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's had a good night. He's had a hard tag for most of the first half. That's not going to do the job. That's a poor kick. Down to you, Tim.
Not a real gap in the disposals at the moment. It's only 30 difference, but in the marks, and this is a real feature of the game for Essendon tonight, 87 to 54, so the Bulldogs just aren't able to man up on a turnover like we just saw a few moments ago when they went forward.
And just on that, the Bulldogs take more marks than anyone else, so that's a big tick to the Bombers.
Marks inside 50 in this term, 7 to Essendon. One of the Bulldogs, Higgins, takes a defensive mark, right half back. Now that's an untidy kick as well. Cross trying to get through, had the ball knocked away by Lovett Murray, picked up by Dempsey. Runners to either side. Lonergan measured it, went to Stanton. Stanton back towards the middle. Wonderful vision. Now Jeddah's got it, but he must kick this one.
He was thinking about playing on. He didn't particularly want to go back for the set kick, did he?
Not really.
That was the second option. First option, play on. He's a good kick at the footy. This is really great flowing play. That was really good play by Stanton. He just saw that he was going to be forced onto his left side. Composure to find the 40-metre out straight in front.
And when you listen to Matthew Knight's talk about Essendon football, this is the blueprint. Pressure at one end, free running through the middle, and finish like that. Jeddah puts it through.
Been a dominating quarter, hasn't it? I mean, they've just been in control everywhere. The Bulldogs really have just been, it's like a brick wall. They haven't scored since half-time. It's been a brick wall. They're back 50. And then on the rebound, Essendon, the team that have got the run. We expect Bulldogs to play a bit like this to get space and run through the middle, but Essendon are just doing it so much better.
You get the feeling they're prepared for the game really well. They've stripped down the Bulldogs' game plan. They're executing it at the moment.
He's been good, Jed. He's wasted the ball a couple of times going forward, hasn't he? But he's been good. He's run and carry, and that's been the story of the Bombers tonight.
Typical of a young player. He's coming off a good game. Sometimes you need that game as a platform, and he's carried that form on tonight.
Howlett got a high one. Boyd inside the 50. Hahn's kicked 11 goals in the last 2 matches against the Bombers. It's the first time he's really been in a scoring position. They haven't scored, the Bulldogs, anything in this quarter so far.
Can unload the big one every now and again, Hahn. He's going to have to hear.
Well, they need something out of the ordinary, you reckon, to get them going again. Kicks to full forward, and a big fly.
It's a mark. In the square. Straight in front.
Well, Gilby got them going in the first quarter with that battling goal. Got their first goal, and now he gets their first goal of the second half. So 2 goals to Gilby. His first goals for the season.
You're trying to think of where the Bulldogs surge is going to come from, and that was just the centre bounce clearance. That's always a good way to score, and probably through the hands. But they just don't look like they're able to have that normal composure coming through the middle of the ground and setting up their forwards.
Yeah, it's been that spark. We've spoken about it a bit, especially from the start of the game. Haven't been able to get that fluency of ball movement, and it's almost jumpers are on the wrong teams. Ball just going through his hands, or perhaps touch there. So repeat efforts from Barry Hall. That's the first time we've probably seen him frustrated as a forward with his new team. So interesting to see how he responds to that.
Looked frustrated last week, Tom, I can tell you.
And his teammates, I should say, Lee.
78-46. It was a funny afternoon at the footy, wasn't it?
It was.
Hand pass from Prismal down towards half forward. Ackermanis gets back, flicks it over his head. Was it a throw? It was a throw. Oh, not happy with that. One of those nights, nothing going his way. Watson's got it. Sly, but it didn't work out too well. Gilby, who took that mark moments ago in the other goal square, just chips it out wide, intended for Gian Siracusa. 7 possessions tonight for Gian Siracusa. Just watch this again. Line ball. So boundary throw in, pits Hudson against Hill. Hudson, Dick Cheney, bounces off a teammate, goes across towards Cooney. Cooney down towards half for Gian Siracusa. Almost the mark. Overcommitted though. Valiant attempt to mark, but Howlett then just crumbing the ball and stepping across the boundary line with enough pressure. Tim?
Tim, down to you, mate.
I'm just talking about Cooney's kicking. The last 4 kicks that he's had, he's actually shanked them. I'm not quite sure if there's something wrong with his foot or the boot or the ball.
Winderlick back to Atkinson, who's kicked the ball magnificently tonight, but he looks up. There's not many targets at the moment. Decides to go with a pretty good kick, I reckon, to Ryder, but no, Lake did it too easily. Ryder gets a second crack. Lake dropped it down, did get his boot to it in the end, and then puts the tackle on. Is it high? It's holding the footy, that's what it is. Zaharakis disappointed. Lake, not a good kick. Sets Acker up. Acker and Hocking. Gee, poor old Acker, he's having one of those nights. Even his teammates are making it hard for him.
It's having a dirty night, Acker. This is a great opportunity for some of the Essendon players to really grab a hold of him and stand up, because he's done it to plenty of opposition players in the past.
Neither ruckman touched the ball. Gathered though by Hudson. Got the ball in the air. Then feeds it across to Hahn. Hahn pursued by Hill. Kicks it around the outer side. It bounces down towards the 50. Just get the feeling they've got to get a late goal, the Dogs, to have any chance. Jetta, Prismal swings it very high. Pears takes the mark uncontested. He's at right half back. Men on in the middle. One the captain. Comes towards Watson now, controls the bouncing ball well. Sweeping hand pass forward. Releases Davey. Davey to Zaharakis. They've got the spare man, not required. Zaharakis, though, was pushed as he kicked, and the ball goes out of bounds in the pocket. Well, they had a man back towards the middle. Zaharakis didn't see him.
So the Doggies being scored against a bit more tonight. Just a poor decision by Davey. He put Zaharakis into a very awkward spot, and he was on the back foot.
Trying to get back onto his left foot. He found himself back in trouble, back under pressure.
Well, David Hill was on his own for a fortnight out on the other flank, and they couldn't find him. So Higgins. Gee, how many times has that happened tonight?
We saw the defensive structure from the Bombers. They were playing man on man. Angus Monfrey is the one who actually got off the direct opponent and just put that seed of doubt into the Bulldogs player, and this is the result, a boundary throw-in.
Hudson Hill comes to the back. Gee, Hocking good there. Kept his eyes on it. Hahn well played to Griffin, and then Griffin gives Hall a chance. Waits for the bounce. Fletcher, this will be interesting. There's a bit of experience between them. Hall, Jetta, they've corralled Hall a long way away. They've given it to a racehorse in Harbrow, and the Bombers have just had a big win.
That's that speed from Jetta. He was the one who was able to keep on Harbrow's tail. He likes to run with the footy, Harbrow, but the Essendon chasing in that part of the ground's been really good.
Having Davey and Jetta in the team has been very important, I reckon, with Harbrow in the opposition.
Myers goes looking for Watson, knocked away by Hahn.
Remember before his knee injury, that little Davies there, he would just panic here, I reckon, if you were a defender on the way out, because he could pick you up from behind, giving you a 10 metres start.
It was often inferred. You just knew that he was around somewhere, whether he was actually closing. You got your hands on the ball. You thought, geez, I'm in a bit of strife here.
He'll be
behind the pack. Stack. Head down. Griffin. Hurried kick inside the 50. Just over a minute remaining in this term. Close to the boundary line. It runs away from Boyd. Clock stops at 56 and a boundary throw in just outside that attacking 50. There's the other end of the ground.
And as this stoppage is taking place, Brian Lake has run upfield to see if he can be the extra. And Paddy Ryder's the defender. I'll be interested to see if the ball goes to that pair.
Cross again, flies third man up. They've used that tactic a lot in this term. Ball wedged amongst the legs there. Stanton, one man, just closing his knees on the football. Umpire will ball it up, and we're at 48 seconds. 46 the Bulldogs, 78 Essendon. Upset brewing on Friday Night Football.
Hahn, Griffin's had a good few minutes and then straightens up, and I reckon he's got it. What a great individual effort. Gee, that helps and hurts at the same time.
Well, that was interesting. He's run off and celebrated, then he's pulled up himself a bit properly, but he's such a dangerous player. Needs the ball in his hands. He runs and carries so well. Just watch him here. Kicks the goal. And might get a look at it a bit later on, but a really damaging play, an important goal for the Bulldogs to stem the flow of play.
Good stoppage, wasn't it? Good stoppage play. Yeah, that was where he's got something that's a little sore.
A bit like Cooney looked a bit sore earlier on too, didn't he? But 6 disposals. He scored 2 inside 50s and a goal to Griffin. And they've kicked the last 2 goals here, the Dogs. They've got themselves back into a position to launch a last quarter attack. They pulled off one miracle on Friday Night Football against Melbourne. They had one against them, of course, here at this ground with the Saints.
A goal here for the Bombers would take the sail out of the Dogs going into 3/4 time.
Yep. So Watson, well, he's going to play safety first and go a long way back here. And puts Prismal in a funny old spot, and then Prismal's kick's okay. So you'd say the Bombers are safe. Is it a big enough lead? It was 6 goals a minute ago. It's now 4, but they're in a good spot, that's for sure. So a team just outside the 8, asking a lot of a team that's in the top 4.
And I think they're avoiding that key centre area, 30, 40 metres out from goal in the centre corner, and they're avoiding that, attacking around the flanks, and then bring it inside, working well for them.
Well, the Dogs are without a doubt the best rebounding side, so it's a good part of the ground for them to avoid.
Still feel that there's a twist or a turn in this match to come. It's 26 points. It's Friday Night Footy. It's the Bombers over the Dogs. Friday Night Footy at the Dome, and the Bombers are 26 points in front of the Bulldogs. Ryder and Hudson, the rucks have been a key tonight. Lovett Murray out of the centre, floating kick difficult. Lake attacks it. Hurley chasing hard. Hurley and Ackermanis. Just worried him out of it, and then Gilby kicked a couple of goals, only had the 12 disposals. That was number 12. Grant and Dempsey probably got into his back in the end. Dempsey's been terrific. Wins the hard ball there. Off the ground by Griffin. He's going to be a key. Hocking pushed in the back. Winderlich searching. Handball down the line. Cut off by Cooney. Boundary throw in. And there's the captain looking on. Probably still 2 weeks away from coming back. That Achilles lower calf's been a real pest for him this year.
And for whatever reason, that forward line just hasn't worked tonight. Mind you, some stars missing. Ball high on the wing, getting a fist to it. Gilby knocks it towards the boundary. Ackermanis kept it in. Awkward hand pass for a couple of teammates. Hocking went straight at the football, taken by Watson. Hand passes beyond the wing. Clever by Williams. Flicks it to accommodate Gilby. That was in the back. Bit untidy by Davey. In his eagerness to go after the footy, Gilby, who was stranded on the deck, gets a reprieve. So Gilby, midway between the lines, right half back and right centre wing, kicks towards centre half forward. Hahn just drifting in, takes the mark, plays on immediately. Hall is on the move, but it's a terrible kick. Comes across the ground. Jan Siracusa, interesting by McVeigh, just headed the ball across to Monfries. Taken now by Pears. Zaharakis on the lead. Marks in front of Addison.
Down the line, good kick to Hurley. And then Hurley to Lonergan. Bombers have done that well all night, haven't they? They've been able to find a target. Gumbleton goes now. He'll get him. Well, he didn't quite get him. And then Gumbleton had to ride the tackle. So just not enough on the kick from Lonergan. Biggest... Here's a McVeigh header. Clever stuff.
I think we commented 3/4 time. They really look like they're trying to attack through the forward flanks.
Yeah, they are.
that middle of the centre corridor, which is Brian Lake territory. The Dons have done really well to avoid that all night.
Hudson, Winderlick was good, and then Watson back to Gilby. Biggest margin the Bombers have conceded at three-quarter time here at Etihad, 15 points in 2000, the famous game when their perfect season was broken by the Doggies. So the Doggies came from 15 points behind. That's the biggest margin they've ever conceded here in a match.
Hudson reaches over the top. Winderlick, hurried kick out of the congestion. Prismal follows his own ball. Applies a tackle on Hahn. Hahn confronted by Winderlick. Davey lurking as well. But the ball fails to release.
I was going to say, just on Lee's point about avoiding centre-half forward, it looks as if they're prepared really well for this game. They've also denied the Bulldogs opportunities. They're cutting their marks right down, avoiding the dangerous parts of the ground. It's been a great effort so far from the Essendon coaching staff.
Lake did pretty well, but it's all Bombers wide of the pack. Taken by Davey. Looks towards the middle. Just got there in the nick of time. Ackermanis coming up the mark slightly. Some compassion from the umpire. Stanton wanted 50. Goes looking for Monfries, outmanoeuvred. Fist came from behind. Morris knocked it down. Trying to crash his way through as Addison left it behind. Lovett Murray, a little shimmy, goes in and kicks the goal.
I think Jason Winderlick was one of the players who got his hands on the footy. We often think of him as an outside runner who can carry the footy, but he's been really good in close. He was the one who won the footy. Lovett Murray kicked the goal.
Great hands in close. All clubs spend a lot of time coaching this with the tackle bags and the like, but a clean take-off. Fisted out to Lovett Murray. Even then we saw three Bombers players lining up together. Continually outnumber the Dogs all night.
Well, they just keep on kicking early goals. They kicked the first 3 of the first quarter, 4 of the first 5 of the second, the first 5 of the third, and they get a very important opening goal in the last. It's a 5-goal game. 10 individual goal kickers for the Bombers tonight. That spread that Matthew Knights talked about at the start. Cooney, Long. Hall's had 3 goals in the opening half, but not many opportunities since. Pears, that's okay.
It's been another really strong positive. We spoke about it during the third quarter when you're a young defender to be freed up like Tate Pears has some real flow on effect. That's terrific stoppage work by the Western Bulldogs.
Brilliant, isn't it? Copybook, isn't it? But they need a bit more of that and a lot more inspiration. Pears over the back, Ryder, Lovett Murray, Myers at the back, handball by Boyd, Higgins. Got a blast at three-quarter time from Rocket Eade. Higgins doesn't get much on it. Stanton getting colossal numbers tonight. And Lovett Murray is so important, I reckon, to the Bombers. Having a very good season. He started with a suspension, which he had to sit it out. And then a couple of weeks, he was out with injury. But he is so important to this team. In short, and finds Pears.
So Pears and right half back. Hard to see the Bulldogs getting back from here. They trail by 32. Sends a high ball towards Hill, and he went at it like a man with an appetite. Terrific grab. David Hill drives it down towards half forward. Jetta thought about going, decides against it. Looks back towards the middle. Myers is on. Ball goes in that direction. Myers stood his ground. Picken takes no prisoners. Arrived in the nick of time. Hand passes to Higgins. Higgins from half back straight to Myers. Terrible kick. Gosh, their kicking has been poor tonight. High ball. Gumbleton launches himself and takes the mark 25 metres out.
It's exciting stuff.
Here's Rocket at three-quarter time with Higgins. He sprayed him.
Well, Higgins has actually had a crook groin, so you wonder how physically sound he is. But this is the real story here. The young Bomber standing up, and that's got to brighten the hearts of the Bomber supporters. Scott Gumbleton launching at the ball. As the season's progressed, he's getting better and better and better.
It's like spying the future, and the future looks pretty bright. This boy can take him on. Back from adversity. Gumbleton's got 3.
It's a good margin now, isn't it? Gumbleton's third goal. He's only had 8 disposals, but he had 6 marks. I mean, marking's his game. But I guess the jet of pressure was created that. turnover from Higgins.
And Myers has been good. It's been his best game for the club.
Yeah.
He still didn't hit that well, the kick, to be honest. It was just a colossal mark.
What they will be doing with Gumbleton is saying, don't let him leap at the footy. Get your body against him.
Well, the Bomber fans have been waiting a long time to see this bloke mature into a player, and he's starting to show some great signs. But what's been really noticeable at ground level has been Essendon's speed. Their forwards have beaten the defenders of the Bulldogs to the ball, and then the Essendon defenders have noticeably been beating the Bulldogs to the ball as well.
It's been a revealing night in many ways, hasn't it?
Genuine attempt.
Well, seeing Gumbleton
Up, please. To our feet. Maximum to our feet, please.
step up to the plate, Gumbleton step up to the plate, can't help but get excited about the future spine. I mean, that's a telling statistic.
4 marks inside the 50 for Gumbleton.
Locked up.
There's Ryder and Hill in the ruck. You've got Gumbleton down, who can play centre full forward. Hurley, Pears, hooker. Yep. It's a pretty impressive young spine they're developing there.
Sure is, and
Fletcher might do a Michael Tucker play. He's about 40.
That's the male.
Davey trying to get through. Watson, gee, that was good. Jetta. Stanton's had a colossal night. Back it comes. Myers talked about his game. Hill had to search. And then Minson, clever little topo. Hocking so good tonight. Riding Acker. Gee, Acker's going to be a story tomorrow. Kick to centre half forward. The captain takes a beauty. Kicks a slow one to Stanton. Well done by Morris. Bombers have got all the numbers though. Hurley, Jetta, still with Jetta and Harbrow. Back to Hurley. It was a good take and he'll get a free.
Come out, Benny.
How good was Watson's working close in the centre? For not the first time tonight. Well, Hurley he's a long bomb. Bradsaw's about 5 metres away. He knows all about Hurley. He's kicked 4 goals against the Hawks on 2 occasions. He can kick a long one. And this would bury the favourites. This would put the Dogs back in the kennel tonight. Not much of a bark left, but just a little one.
A whimper.
Enjoying it, Dennis?
It's been a good game. Bombers, very impressive. Hargraves got the footy. Drives it towards the outer side. Big leap out there by Williams. Spilt the mark. Picken out against the boundary line. That was a clever kick. Mark is taken by Stack. Wants to go. Finds Grant, a runner alongside. Griffin. Searching kick inside the forward 50. Hall needs to hold his ground. He did that. Turns around and kicks his fourth.
Well, it's the first time we've seen the Bulldogs go coast to coast. They're the most potent kicking side from full back. Get the ball in Griffin's hands and get it into a one-on-one contest. We just haven't seen it. That's been the moral of the story.
They haven't been able to get it through, have they? Essendon had the normal press upfield, but once the Bulldogs got through, Fletcher was covering about 3 guys when the ball was about to be kicked in, and he actually still had his body near Hall, but Hall had the drop on him.
So good there, Griffin. Hall's 4 goals takes him to equal lead in the Coleman medal with Pat, but in a way, only 5 goal kickers relying on Hall. It's not really what they want, is it? I mean, he's basically been their one target all night, which is a lot of discussion about all of that. The other end has been 10 goal scorers. So Picken building forward. McVeigh and Ackermanis. Dempsey just one of a number of very good players. Their Indigenous players have been terrific again tonight. Prismal back from Jetta. Back to Jetta. To Prismal. Slow handball, not a good one. Cut off by Harbrow. Well done, Jetta. His second effort there. He created a bit of a problem and he got involved and got it back.
Great closing speed. But we saw Brent Prismal carry the ball. He was very patient. Didn't really scan to look inside. He's happy to go down the line. Lee's point about the kick, intentionally not kicking the ball to centre half forward, is really valid.
Margin 33 points. Boundary throw in the attacking side of the wing here for the Bombers. Hill directed it down. Winderlick comes again, knocks it clear. John Siracusa to Higgins. Still the pressure enormous. Well done by Prismal. Knocked it forward, taken by Lonergan. Hammered a hand pass to Wendelek. Davey almost through. Dragged down, well, sort of. Gilby got him down to one knee. In goes Davey. That was a strong tackle on Boyd. Addison goes after Lonergan. The ball spills from that pair, and the umpire eventually decides to ball it up. Interesting, you look at the breakdown of the Bombers, and pardon my civic pride, but of their list of 25 announced last night, 9 of them West Australians, which is a very unusual spread. That's very high. Prismal knocks it forward. Hudson has been terrific at close quarters to a man with his back to goal. That was Griffin, but he works his way out of it, goes to Stack. Not much willingness to work up ahead. Ackermanis makes a run. Kicks inside the forward 50, and that's a beautiful kick. His disposals have been good tonight, but they've also been rare. Not the combination you want. This is Hill.
Gian Syracuse got himself free, but he's had a remarkably quiet night. He's having a fantastic season, only the 9 possessions. A few of the Bulldogs look a bit lame, I think, at the moment. Some of their ball carriers are not moving as fluently as we've seen in the past.
So Hill comes in and kicks. Has it got the carry? Yes, it has. Minson, the bullocking work down there on the line, gets it across.
Well, that should never have been a goal. McVeigh was actually asleep on the goal line. There was a Turk. With the ball was shepherded through, but McVeigh didn't have an opponent on his body. That was just looked very strange. Again, the ball went about 40 metres off the boot.
Might be an inquisition into the goals down this end. It shouldn't be, but
it's a force field.
Just see this one. I mean, that's a cardinal sin from a defender. In all seriousness, if the Bombers are going to be really harsh critiquing their game, they celebrate the wins, but they do have to address that. That's a cardinal sin to not touch the ball on the goal line like that.
27 points the margin. Bulldogs have kicked 4 of the last 6 goals.
Oh.
So you just don't know. One more here and things could get tight. McVeigh wide to Lovett Murray. Sweeping handball to Howland, but he had to wait for it. Goes back on clever Watson. Geez, been good.
That's good play.
Myers out wide. Prismal, important kick. Jetta, he's got it. Gee, they played that well. And again, Watson in the guts of the centre. When something had to be done, he did it.
And you don't have to actually take possession to make it work, can you? That tap on was fantastic.
And again, it was this play here. Myers went out wide to Prismal, avoided centre half forward again, and brought it back in an unconventional manner. Still get the result.
So Jetta has kicked the 1 goal tonight. As I said a moment ago, the Dogs have actually kicked 4 of the last 6, but this, you think, would close them out. So Jetta leaning back, looking good. He's kicked 2. It's been impressive.
Important for the Bombers to finish the job here. They've a young side. They're actually playing a really taxing game. Look at that. He is a class act. Myers has been very good tonight. Prismal using the ball extremely well. And Jetta finishes the goal. We spoke about Jetta during the weekend. The 21 touches and 5 tackles last week. Just a confidence booster for him. Carried on that form. Started the game exceptionally well and carrying it on in good form tonight.
21 possessions again tonight. And a career high 10 marks, 2 goals. And that's the bonus for him. Finishing with these late goals. Dangerous forward, particularly if each week he's putting on some pressure on the scoreboard. Gian Siracusa, Minson undecided. Cooney had a bad night. Gang tackle, ball jarred out of there. Griffin, they just moved onto him. Comes back towards Jetta. Jetta tries to paddle it out. Coming back, Cooney. Well done, Griffin. Hard man to get down. Gives it across to Harbrow. Kicks towards the outer side. Ackermanis flicks it over the top. That was clever. Gian Siracusa measures the kick and gives it to Hahn. He's 55 metres out his side. Trails by 33 points. Just over 9 minutes remain. Hall comes hard and hangs on.
Thanks, Fletch, that's it.
About 5 metres in, as you saw from the boundary line. And this will take his best.
Have you seen that matchup, Lee? The Hall-Fletcher.
Well, I think Fletcher's done well in the one-on-one contest, but Hall just be able to find a way to still get his 4 goals. He's so it's hard to say he's won the contest, but if he can kick 4 or 5 goals, I guess that's the statistical win.
Just to make it 5, then his kicking generally this year has been good. Guaranteed to get that sort of result, that sort of observation.
Got 19 men out there, the Bombers.
I was going to say, I reckon you get a shock if Barry turned around.
Yeah.
Easy from the fence, isn't it?
Prismore, former teammate, you feel like he's really finding his feet now, don't you, at Essendon?
Yeah, he is. He had a couple of weeks in the reserves just to word was to pick up on some of his defensive work. Never been a question about the way he uses the ball and prepares himself to play the game better than anyone.
Is he a really elite endurance runner?
Yeah, he is.
So he is good.
He
in
is.
that regard.
In saying that,
Played him out of bounds, was it?
I don't think he did. Come back. I'll whistle him up to hurry him on. And then he's hurry on, he's moved in a line to bring the ball back in, okay? I want you to take a kick again.
I've learned not to talk over the umpires.
You're a fast learner, but good
boundary
stuff.
umpire might have been right, because he sort of ran along outside the boundary line.
But back on to Brent Prismore, he's an elite runner, but it was something that he worked on. He's got a fantastic work rate, so he's not the kid that is born with this huge engine, but has worked really hard at his craft.
So Acker, who's had just an ordinary old night. Hall, it was good mark by Acker a moment ago. Barry nearly got hold of it. Well played, Howlett. Stanton, Grant probably should have put the tackle on him. Pears, good tackle, gone.
No.
So the goal was kicked,
Sorry,
but Picken
Ben.
will have a shot.
No advantage there, Ben. I know we like it.
I'd like to have a look at this. It was holding the ball, except I thought he just fell all on his back. Let's have a look. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Luke.
In the back.
In the back.
It's the second priority to holding the ball. That's all it means.
He drove him in hard too, didn't he?
Five corridor, fellas.
Well, if Picken gets hold of you, you know he's going to drive you.
Yeah.
He's a hard tag of this guy. Straight in front, gets the goal. They get to 11, but still 4 behind.
Only the 4 goals behind, but they certainly haven't looked like they've had the fluency in the game to get the goals back. Ackermanis getting off the ground. But, I mean, it is gettable, 4 goals in 7.5 minutes, but from what we've seen tonight from the Dogs, there's just no inkling that they're going to get on a run. But stranger things have happened. We've seen some fantastic finishes on Friday night footy so far this year. You'd like to think the Bombers might be able to get one just to steady the ship.
Jared Grant, an ankle injury. Jason Ackermanis soaring on the outer side. Good pressure, and that's how the ankle was injured. Grant getting across on Stanton. Oh, well done by Ryder. Winderlich. Well done by Boyd. Robbed him of the football. Assessed things from his knees. Higgins feeds it wide. Hargrave still in trouble. Griffin. Boot to ball. Now a chance for Cross. Man peels off. That's Hill. He ignores it eventually. Goes long down towards Hall. From behind, Fletcher did brilliantly. Killed it. Got it down to Dempsey. Hand passed across to Stanton. Hand pass to Howe. Running on is Stanton. Wants it back and he's got it. The defensive side of the wing. Dempsey runs hard. That was terrific. It was all about want to. Hand passes back to Howlett. Howlett the sweeping hand pass out wide. Leroy Jenner 55 metres out. Misses.
Well, that was the one time he had to play one over the top.
Oh, Zaharakis.
Zaharakis. He went the long kick when Lonergan, I think it was dropping into space.
Harbrow. Just another player, Lee. They've kept a bit of a touch on Harbrow, haven't they, tonight? We haven't seen him be able to rebound quite so easily. So the advantage given to Late, but he backtracks to Cross to Harbrow. Then Harbrow forced to go down the line. Acker's in a poor position here. Hurley over the back. Kicked back inside. Well done by Griffin, was it? He was terrific. but the Bombers come out with it and stand it over the top. And Monfries, what will he do? He'll mess it up. He should have been more decisive. He saw Lonergan there, and then he blew it.
Decisive was the word, Bruce. He just had two minds, classic case of two minds. Should have just backed himself in and kicked the goal.
Got to be selfish sometimes. You can call now, Dennis.
Kicks it towards midfield. John Siracusa comes across. Monfries had the right hand cocked to give a hand pass and then decided against it. Lonergan was sweeping through the middle. Higgins, meantime, over to Cooney. Cooney runs inside the forward 50. And this time he's off target again and short. Juggled across the line by Hurley, so it's a behind. Just over 5 minutes to go now. 28 points the margin. And Fletcher, that's been an absorbing duel, Fletcher and Hall. And they've played on each other for the best part of the night. Hall came off for a brief period. Bulldogs tried Minson at full forward. Here's Pears. Up from the back pocket. Goes back to Hurley.
So often Fletcher hasn't played on the main opposition forward over this recent years. I'm never quite sure why that is. But tonight he's taken the gun forward, and even though Hall's kicked a few goals, he's more than held his own.
Well, Hooker's the one who's, along with Pears, has been doing that job in the past.
Yeah.
And I guess on the fact that Pears has been slightly out of form, Matthew Knights has seen an opportunity to get him back form, playing cross half-back on a smaller opponent, which leaves the job to Fletcher.
Hurley kicks it a long way towards the outer side. Ryder almost. Stanton just keeps running. Around the boundary he goes. Looks towards the middle. Tailor-made for Stack. His GPS isn't too flash when he gets in the air. Here's a chance for Winderlich. Good hand pass, sweeping hand pass. Zaharakis back to the corridor. McVeigh tries to help it on its way. Blocked was Watson. Some indecision from the Dogs. Griffin did well. Gave it to Morris, and Morris drives towards the outer side. Boyd.
With a bit of time and space, something the Dogs haven't had much of tonight. Higgins. And on his own in the pocket. Lake didn't hold the mark, gets a second crack. He loves a goal late these days. Back to Cooney. Cooney, clever. Hall, still with Hall. He's going to kick his fifth, Barry. So he's kicked 5.
It's his 5th goal, but he's playing a bit of a lone hand up forward. They've only got the 17 scoring shots so far, the Western Bulldogs. They've been a high-octane offence for a long time, averaging about 26 scoring shots a game. So a lot of talk has been about what to do with Barry Hall being such a dominant focal point, and I guess we're seeing the reverse side of it tonight.
Sort of one good clearance and one goal away now from just being... If you look at how far back they are, it's completely not out of it.
And Bulldogs have gone the roll of dice play with Brian Lake going into the full forward line.
Don't deserve to be this close. Knights knows that. And you can see Rocket Eade hoping for an improbable victory. Can they get some quick goals here? Time against them. Hudson knocked it down. Coming through Lovett Murray. Did nicely. Oh, that was a lovely little shimmy. Lovett went one way. Murray went the other. They were left chasing the hyphen. Here's a chance. It comes across to Pears. Pears to McVeigh. Socket away now by Ackermanis. Ackermanis does well. Follows his own ball. And finds Hill. There could be a sting in the tail. Hill's got the football about 35 metres out, almost directly in front.
A lot of handballs, wasn't it? And eventually the one handball backwards went to ground or was fumbled.
Well,
1 minute, Courtney, that's it.
Hill. Kicks Truly. Hello, hello.
At 16 points, but all of a sudden there starts to get a little bit of, well, we've done well enough to win this game. It's late in the game. The opposition within 3 goals. It's important for Eston to maintain their composure and not just get frazzled by the fact that all of a sudden a game that should be dead is still alive.
Kick 3, Hill. 2 in the last quarter. They kicked 5 of the last 6 goals, the Dogs.
And Eston have dropped the spare man back, try and get that extra defender in place.
Ryder, Hudson, Watson, so good tonight. They haven't got many up forward, though. They want the clock to tick quickly, don't they, the Bombers? Harbrow can do some damage.
They want the footy.
Williams got it to him. Now Harbrow decides to go with a long ball to half forward. Oh! Grant takes a magnificent mark. This is a big play now. Short to Hall. Got him. And now I'm not sure if Barry can go all the way from here.
55-metre kick.
Especially into the wind, the teeth of the wind.
Well, he's not going to go all the way. He's going to go wide. Well, I'm not sure if Addison can go all the way. I mean, if it was Gilby, you'd say right bloke, but I'm not sure if Addison can make the distance here.
Someone better go all the way.
He's got a goal here, and I feel like I've gone all the way. It'll be very exciting. Well, there you go. Just offline.
Been some interesting coaching talks for the Bombers in this last part. We saw when Monfries run into goal and was in two minds. Matthew Knight's very disappointed in that. And then we saw the one also with McVeigh on the line where they should have still coaching lessons, although you're 6 goals in front. The game has a funny knack of teaching you at the most different times.
Margin 15 points. That was a beautiful kick, a punishing kick coming out by McVeigh.
Now it's maintain the possession footy for as long as possible.
Monfries gets it from Prismal right at the interchange gates. Terrific win by the Bombers. They're home now. 1:25 to go. A couple of anxious moments, but generally it's been under control. From behind, Williams falls in front to Watson. Cooney, quick hands. Higgins, John Siracusa. Ackermanis cruises past, needs to release it, does. Griffin, look at that. He digs it in, runs down towards half forward under pressure though. The pressure from Winderlick, great chase, affected the kick. Lake went to ground, knocked away by Addison, or was it Picken? Back comes Lake, smothered off the boot. Couple of wonderful efforts by Fletcher.
Good stuff. He's a warrior, isn't he? He's a gentleman. And he plays it so well and so fairly, Fletcher. Got a great battle with Hall tonight. Jetta, cut off by Hargrave. Ackermanis, good kick, Acker. And Lake's going to kick a late goal. And if you've just tuned in, you think, gee, this has been a close match all night, wouldn't it?
Yes, it's been a good last 3 or 4 minutes by the Bulldogs. But 38 seconds and 9 points is not likely to be threatened.
Senses the game remarkably well, Brian Lake, doesn't he? He knows when to drift forward, and spoken after games on occasion. I think it was after the Melbourne game, he put himself forward, but knows his way around the ground. 9 points, it looks close, but it certainly hasn't felt that way tonight.
Late in the grand final, you can see him going forward onto Scarlett. That'd be something, wouldn't it?
He's seen the opposition kick the last 4 goals and 6 of the last 7. We're down to 38 seconds. The margin 9 points. It needs a clean takeaway, a mark and a goal, and then fingers crossed they hope for the best. Mind you, that crowd have got other ideas. Minson and Ryder. Ryder up very early. Lovett Murray missed the football. Clock is running though. This is a terrific result. They tie him up. Clock stops at 29. He knows it has to be clean, it has to be quick, and it has to be capitalised on. Ryder locks up with Minson. Minson looking for space. Griffin's got the football. They won't get a mark here. Stanton comes at it, stifles the bounce, feeds it back. Fletcher's got it. The danger is past, I fancy. Watson does well, in trouble. Almost a throw taken across the line by Prismal.
They've had a lot of good players, the Bombers, but none better than their captain tonight.
Yeah, he's been good.
It's been one of their best wins. I know it's only 9 points, but under Matthew Knights, it's been one of their best wins, the Bombers tonight. Well done, Minson, John Siracusa, and that's it. The Bombers win big on Friday night footy. terrific performance. I mean, the Doggies certainly steamed home, but Essendon made all the running, established a 39-point lead, and have taken another big scalp. And Tim Watson's with one of their stars tonight, who just kept getting the footing.
Well, a lot of jubilation in the players.